Think about these questions before watching the video. 1. What influence does advertising have on consumerism and culture? 2. What do you consider as effective advertisements? Why? Hi everyone! In this video, we're looking at the advertising industry. Why is advertising important? How do we define advertising? How does advertising influence our minds and feelings? When talking about the magazine industry previously, we mentioned that in the early days, the magazine circulation was low because of the poor infrastructure for delivery and the low literacy rate. Well, something happened in the 1880s. Instead of delivering content with advertising attached, magazines started delivering content that related to the advertising within the magazine. So instead of providing media for the public, magazines started to provide pieces of the public to their advertisers. By the turn of the 20th century, magazines were financially supported primarily by their advertisers than by their readers. It is the same case in today's various free media, such as the numerous radio and TV channels where you don't have to pay for the content. The American Marketing Association defines advertising as any paid form of non-personal presentation and promotion of ideas, goods, or services by an identified sponsor. This definition contains 4 key components. Advertising is paid for and controlled by a sponsor, which could be an individual or a group. The sponsor pays for a certain space on a newspaper or magazine, or a certain period of time in a radio or television program. Therefore, the advertising content is completely controlled by the sponsor. By contrast, any promotion that is not paid for falls in the category of public relations, which we will discuss in the next video. Simply put, if you don't pay for the time or space, you won't have complete control over the content. For instance, a columnist may either publish a favorable or unfavorable review of a restaurant, and the restaurant can't do anything about it. 2. Non-personal. Advertising is done through the mass media without personal contact or interaction between the seller and the potential buyer. Advertising relies strictly on non-personal promotion of goods, services, or ideas. 3. Promotion related to ideas, goods, or services. Advertising could either promote a tangible, physical product or try to make individuals change their way of thinking or their behavior. 4. An identified sponsor. In an advertisement, the sponsor or advertiser can be easily identified because the advertisement might mention the name, contact details, and other related information of the advertising entity. It may also reveal brand names and trademarks of goods or services. There are 3 major objectives of advertising. They are: 1. To inform. Advertising first informs the potential customers about certain ideas, products, services, events, and so on. 2. To persuade. Advertising persuades customers to perform a particular task. The task may involve buying or trying some products or services, forming a brand image, developing a favorable attitude towards the brand, and so on. 3. To remind. Another objective of advertising is to reinforce the brand message and to reassure the existing and potential customers about the brand vision. Advertising helps the brand to maintain a top-of-mind awareness and to stop its competitors stealing the customers. That's why top brands such as Apple and Coca-Cola would run ad campaigns for years, even though they are market leaders already. So how does advertising work? First, you find your target market using demographics, and then you find out what makes them tick and match your brand. The term explaining this process is psychographics. The demographics might include your age, race, marital status, income level, education level, and so on. Psychographics is about your needs, attitudes, wants, fears, and other psychological attributes. That's why if you're selling something to a 50-year-old man, you're going to do it differently than if you were selling it to a 10-year-old boy. Once you have identified and obtained the demographic and psychographic information of your target market, you can then create the right emotional appeals for them. In a sense, advertising doesn't only help sell products, it helps sell feelings associated with those products. Speaking of the appeal, how do ads appeal to or persuade us? First off, what is persuading? It is the action or fact of influencing someone or of being influenced to do or to believe something. In other words, persuasion means to encourage people to change their mind on an issue. Perhaps we want someone to simply believe our idea. Perhaps we want someone to behave in a certain way. So, why do we want to study persuasive techniques? If you are a good persuader, you can convince people to do things. If you are a good analyst of a text, then you can tell facts from bias. Let's see some common techniques together. 1. Bandwagon. Let's go ahead and start with logical appeals. The first logical appeal we might look at is the idea of jumping on the bandwagon. Basically, it tries to persuade somebody of an idea of doing something because everybody else is doing it. 2. Cart stacking. The second logical appeal is cart stacking. Advertisers gives us only part of the picture by stressing its positive qualities while downplaying or ignoring the negative ones. For example, this Burger King ad boasts that its fries contain 40% less fat and 30% less calories, but it never tells us that fries are unhealthy anyway. 3. Plain folks. Now let's take a look at some emotional appeal techniques that advertisers might use. The first is the use of plain folks. This is where we see simple, down-to-earth people just like you and me, who are selling a product or an idea. They're saying, "Hey, I like this idea," or "I like this product." They are appealing to our sense of belonging. In a sense, it's very similar to the bandwagon idea that if everybody's doing it, why shouldn't I? But specifically, here we are using the images of very plain-looking, ordinary citizens to sell an idea. 4. Name-calling. Another emotional appeal technique is name-calling. Name-calling in commercials occurs when two or more products are compared to show that one of the products being advertised is clearly better than the others. In this advertisement released during the Halloween season in 2013, for instance, Pepsi tried positioning Coca-Cola as scary. Of course, there's no real logical appeal here. It's all emotions. 5. Glittering generalities. Another emotional appeal we have on the list is what we call glittering generalities, and this is probably the technique we see the most in advertising. This technique uses vague words or statements that have an emotional appeal to people without giving them a concrete reason. These words generally render a positive influence on people as they link high-valued ideas subconsciously. As a result, the audience can hardly find the true meaning. The thing about advertising is that if you read or listen to something over and over again, you tend to believe it. Some marketers use glittering generalities like new and improved, 100% pure, or buy this and change your life. These fancy words definitely give us a positive impression, which is incompletely defined or explained. Generally speaking, customers won't actively dig out the complete meaning behind the product's slogan and would probably end up buying it without thinking too much. 6. Testimonial. A testimonial comes into existence when a famous person or celebrity endorses a certain view or they testify to the idea or the product. We often see famous people such as sports champions, movie stars, or other public figures saying, "I use this product and I like it," or "I use this product and it has helped me in this way," in an advertisement. If a product finds a well-matched celebrity, it could resonate with the target audience who might eventually buy it. 7. Transfer. The last technique we will look at in this lecture is called transfer. An advertiser uses this technique when he tries to transfer our good feelings about one thing to the product. Take the classic tobacco advertising campaign for Marlboro cigarettes as an example. There is actually no real connection between smoking cigarettes and a cowboy or a tough man. But you can see that Marlboro wants you to associate the two. And if you see lots of such images, you may establish this mental link automatically. Well, there are still many other types of persuasive techniques that advertisers employ, and I challenge you to find out more on your own.